The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management of the Republic of Southern Sudan, General Babakar Ali, the Interior Minister of Sudan, David Muhoozi, the Minister of Internal Affairs of the Republic of Uganda, and the Director of Refugee Affairs of the Republic of Ethiopia, the IGAD Executive Director, Dr. Wokne Gabeyenu, the UNHCR representative present, the representative of the European Union, the representative of the refugees, and my learned friend, Monica Malith. I'm sure we share an alma mater at the University of Nairobi. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning once again. Karibuni Nairobi. Karibu Nairobi, welcome home. I'm pleased to join you today for this important stock-taking meeting on the Nairobi Declaration on Durable Solutions for Refugees and the Global Compact on Refugees. Allow me to begin by expressing my sincere appreciation to the IGAD for convening us and for its continuous leadership in advancing the refugee agenda across our region. I also wish to acknowledge all member states, partners, and stakeholders represented here today for your steadfast commitment to our region's shared priorities and to the pursuit of sustainable solutions for refugees and host communities. Honorable Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, we convene at a time when global displacement has reached levels never seen before, with more than 112 million people now forcibly displaced worldwide, about 6 million of whom are in our region. Conflicts within and beyond our borders continue to generate new waves of displacement, while the impacts of climate change further aggravate the situation. These pressures come as economic shocks have strained national capacities, and host communities continue to shoulder immense responsibilities. The speed and the scale of forced displacement are outpacing the solutions that are available, leaving many displaced populations in a prolonged state of limbo with limited opportunities to rebuild their lives. As we reflect on our collective journey, it's important to recall the New York Declaration, later enforced by the Global Compact on Refugee in 2018, that laid out 4 core objectives to guide the international community. These objectives are to ease pressure on host countries, to enhance refugee self-reliance, which has really been emphasized here, and to expand access to third country solutions, and to support conditions in countries of origin to enable safe and dignified return. And you saw the representative of Refugee Affairs also emphasized this very important point. So these objectives remain as relevant today as they were 7 years ago, and continue to provide a strong basis for coordinated regional and global action. 7 years after the adoption of the GCR, we must be candid with one another. The challenges before us remain substantial. The world is changing rapidly, and our collective response must evolve at the same time. Refugee hosting areas across the IGAD region continue to grapple with rapid population growth, environmental degradation, and overstretched social services, factors that worsen living conditions for both the refugees and host communities. The debate we actually face here in Kenya usually is whether it is the refugees who are feeling the impact of these changes, or is the local community. So there is always a pull and push whether the refugees are living better life or the local community, because the pressures of life, population, environmental degradation, access to services, climate change, and some of these conditions make the situation difficult for both the hosting communities, particularly the local hosting community, not just the country, and the refugees. At the same time, funding cuts to refugees operations have reached levels never seen before, leaving host countries in an increasingly precarious positions and threatening the progress made in previous years. You will also agree with me that the inward-looking nature of countries that ordinarily and traditionally support refugees, and the fact that we are seeing a backslide of countries from multilateralism to nationalism has really made many of these countries that have been supporting refugees to focus more on their local priorities, local funding, their local security, and many other issues, leaving us vulnerable. And that's why when the representative of Refugee Affairs spoke, I think that is the crux of the matter. For how long shall we be discussing the management of the problem? And when are we going to address the source of this problem? And when can we really purely say that a refugee can go home? Can we make the conditions for them, conducive to go home? So as a region, we cannot close our eyes on these issues. And through the IGAD support platform, we have made, of course, significant progress, particularly through thematic declarations aimed at promoting sustainable and durable solutions for refugees that we host. Notably, the Nairobi Declaration on Durable Solutions for Somali Refugees of 2017 endorsed the IGAD's Head of State Summit, endorsed at the IGAD Head of State Summit, the Djibouti Declaration on Refugee Education, and the Mombasa Declaration on Health are extremely important. These commitments embody the principles of protection and inclusion, support for sustainable return and reintegration in countries of origin, and burden and responsibility sharing across member states. As we meet today to take stock, it is essential that we honestly assess whether we are truly meeting the ambitious objectives we set for ourselves. Honorable Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, Kenya experiences in hosting refugees for more than 3 decades, now standing over 860,000 individuals, and together with the experience of your respective countries, offer valuable lessons for the global community. Our refugee hosting countries illustrate how fragile existence intersect with rapid urbanization, climate stress, and increasing pressure on the limited resources. These realities require not only humanitarian interventions, but long-term development-oriented solutions rooted in integrated urban planning, strong national systems, and robust cooperation between national and county or local governments. I just want to say that, even as we talk about integrating refugees and, saying for 35 years they have been in Kenya, this home and so forth, there are children who are born here who call Kenya home, except for the absence of documentation. The rest, they have no connection except through their parents to the countries they came from. And sometimes when you think about it, that you are telling that person there is somewhere else you need to go, and this is not home, it's extremely difficult. And that's why we need to go to the core issues of are we really Africa? Are we one country, one continent, one people? Do we really subscribe to these geographical boundaries to the extent that we cannot take care of the people born and brought up in our own countries as brothers and sisters? And so the thinking has to shift, because even as we keep focusing on, saying, repatriation to other countries, those other countries are like our countries. If we can make the conditions better here, those people who are born here, who call here home, should find ways of getting reintegrated. I know this is an extremely controversial political decision. The only reason why host communities, sometimes the citizens of those countries feel uncomfortable to integrate fully refugees is because of competition for scarce resources. So if we succeed to develop our own countries to the level of those countries we are saying we want to take our citizens, our African brothers and sisters to go and be reintegrated in those countries. If we develop our countries to first world countries, then there will be no need for us to say people have to go to another place. The economy can be able to host those who are here. The second thing I keep thinking is that there is no way Kenya, for example, can say they can prosper on their own. The more you prosper on your own, the more you attract problems to yourself, because then you have to shoulder greater burden. So it's important for us to take seriously other development agendas, whether it is trade, whether it is infrastructure, whether it is integration as a region and as a continent, so that we have shared prosperity and we can reduce pressure for citizens moving from one part to the other, looking for better life. So now more than ever, as funding constraints affect refugee operations, there is an urgent need to embrace innovative and collaborative approaches across humanitarian development, peace, and nexus. This includes aligning policy framework, harmonizing planning between national systems and humanitarian actors, and ensuring that interventions build resilience rather than perpetuate dependency. And I'll be mentioning later when we make national statements on the progress we have made in terms of this sector. So strengthening these linkages is essential to create sustainable pathways for refugees and host communities alike. At the second Global Refugee Forum in 2023, we collectively made a number of pledges aimed at advancing the objectives of Global Compact on the refugees. For Kenya, our principal pledge was through participation in the multi-stakeholder pledge to invest in climate-resilient human settlement. We committed to developing and rolling out the Shirika Plan for refugee and host communities. The plan, launched in March 2025, aligns with Kenya's Refugees Act of 2021 on inclusion and seeks to promote socio-economic empowerment and self-reliance for both refugees and host communities. It also paves the way for the transformation of refugee camps into integrated and sustainable settlements. Central to this agenda is the principle of cooperation and equitable burden and responsibility sharing. Progressive policies and initiatives such as Shirika Plan are at risk if the burden continues to fall disappropriately on host countries. The future of our children, who constitute the largest proportion of the displaced population, is jeopardized if the international community does not act with urgency and purpose. This is why we need the unified IGAD position. As I conclude, I urge all of us to re-examine the objectives of the Global Compact on refugees to ensure that they continue to serve the intended purpose. Let us also take a critical look at the thematic declaration under IGAD and determine how we can strengthen their implementation for greater impact. Finally, I wish to reaffirm Kenya's commitment to fostering sustainable and inclusive solutions that place host communities at the center of development as stipulated in our Shirika Plan. This plan reflects Kenya's belief that refugees should not merely be recipients of assistance, but they are contributors to national and regional development. I wanted to ask Malik, do you practice law here? Okay, very good. So you see, it would be great to see that refugees contribute actively to national development. I keep thinking, you know, when America, for example, Canada, America, Australia, European countries, when they come taking some of our refugees who have good education or potential or skills, and they take them to their countries, they are headhunting them for purpose of their national development. It's not enough that they are being taken to other countries, but they are contributing to national development. Some of them to sports, some of them to art, some of them to very strong areas. Why should Kenya lock refugees in a camp who are educated, skilled, have the capacity to contribute to growth, and in the process, as they do so, they are able to fend for themselves and contribute to their personal growth. So indeed, Shirika plan is a great plan, is a really great plan, and I believe that we should be able to help each one of us to be active contributors to our regional development. Kenya stands ready to continue working with IGAD member states and all stakeholders to advance this shared agenda and ensure that no refugee and no host community is left behind. However, the success of such initiatives depend on predictable, sustainable, and well-coordinated support from the international community. As we move forward, I urge all partners to intensify their support in strengthening national systems in education, health, water, infrastructure, and livelihood by providing predictable development financing to sustain long-term refugee inclusion. And I'm very happy with the testimony that comes from Uganda that the World Bank is doing something to support financing education sector. Supporting climate resilient interventions that address the linkage between climate change and displacement, enhancing regional coordination and mobility returns and durable solutions, and enabling voluntary, safe and dignified repatriation where conditions allow. The government of Kenya remains committed to expanding the protection space, even as we call upon our partners to reciprocate through genuine burden sharing, not burden shifting. I look forward to the rich insight and actionable solutions that will emerge from our discussions today. And as we take stock of our progress, let us renew our collective commitment to protecting refugees, supporting host communities, and advancing durable solutions across our region. The challenges before us are complex, but with unity of purpose, sustained collaborations, and strengthened regional mechanisms under IGAD leadership, we can deliver meaningful and lasting change. With all those many remarks, honorable ministers, ladies and gentlemen, I hereby declare the ministerial stock-taking session on the Global Compact on Refugee officially opened. Asanteni.
Excellency, our guest of honor, Honorable Minister.